The script says the lead actor gets shot, so the director yells action. A gunshot rings out, and the star falls into a pool of blood. Everyone's acting is absolutely fantastic, until the director yells cut. And the crew realizes the actor is never getting back up. This isn't the opening chapter of a pulp mystery novel. This is one of the most chilling real-world tragedies in Hollywood history. The murder weapon was supposed to be a harmless prop gun worth pennies. We treat cinema as a perfectly safe and insulated illusion. We assume that when the cameras finally stop rolling for the day, the monsters obediently return to boxes, and fake blood is washed away. But what happens when the horror refuses to stay on the screen? Today, we are tearing down the fourth wall to expose the terrifying phenomenon of cursed film sets, exploring the horrifying moments when fictional nightmares violently crashed into our reality, leaving behind a trail of genuine corpses and unexplained tragedies, and shattered lives, just for a stupid movie. Our descent into this cinematic graveyard begins with the tragedy I just described. In 1993, Brandon Lee was filming the Gothic comic book adaptation The Crow. He was the rising son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee. During a routine scene, a character fires a revolver directly at Lee. But, due to a baffling chain of sheer negligence by the prop department, a real, lethal fragment of a dummy bullet was lodged inside the barrel. When the blank cartridge fired, it acted exactly like live ammunition. Brandon Lee was struck in the abdomen and bled to death on set. He died at the tragically young age of 28. It is exactly like buying a cheap plastic toy sword for a school play, only to realize it is forged from razor-sharp steel, right as you plunge it into your best friend's chest. A movie about a man returning from the grave accidentally sent its own brilliant star to an early one. The barrier between a Hollywood soundstage and an active homicide scene. It completely evaporated in a fraction of a second. Plunging into level 2, the horror shifts from accidental prop negligence to the arrogant, lethal hubris of a director playing God. In 1982, director John Landis was filming a segment for Twilight Zone. He wanted a spectacular, visceral Vietnam War sequence, featuring a low-flying helicopter and massive pyrotechnics. To bypass strict labor laws, he illegally hired 2 undocumented children, aged 6 and 7, forced to work at 2 in the morning. He placed them directly under a hovering chopper surrounded by live explosives. When the mortar effects detonated too close to the tail rotor, the helicopter spun completely out of control and plummeted into the shallow river. The main actor, Vic Morrow, and the 2 children were instantly crushed, decapitated by the massive, spinning rotor blades in front of a horrified crew. It is like taking a roller coaster completely off its safety tracks, just to make the ride look a little more thrilling for the tourists. The desperate pursuit of cinematic perfection mutated into a gruesome slaughter. A multi-million-dollar slaughter, proving some directors will gamble with human lives, all just to get a cooler camera angle. As we descend to level 3, the tragedies shift from human negligence. They shift to something deeply and inexplicably sinister. In 1982, Steven Spielberg wrote and produced the classic haunted house film Poltergeist. To save money on the budget during the iconic swimming pool sequence, the production didn't bother to buy expensive plastic skeletons. They simply purchased actual, real human remains from a medical supply company, and they threw the actors into the muddy water with them. It is essentially like stealing real tombstones from a cemetery to build a playground. and then acting surprised when things go horribly wrong. What followed was a terrifying streak of tragedy that birthed the poltergeist curse. Shortly after the movie was released, actress Dominique Dunne was brutally strangled to death by her ex-boyfriend. He killed her right in her own driveway. A few years later, the film's child star, Heather O'Rourke, suddenly died. She died from a misdiagnosed bowel obstruction at age 12. In total, 4 cast members died in highly unusual or tragic circumstances. This all happened within the span of 6 years. Hollywood treated the dead as cheap, disposable props, and many believe the dead retaliated by dragging the living into the grave. The final bedrock of this cursed Hollywood purgatory is Level 4. It reveals a film where the fictional demonic presence infected the physical world. When director William Friedkin began filming The Exorcist in 1972, the production was immediately plagued by completely impossible disasters. The entire interior set of the McNeil house mysteriously caught fire. It burned to the ground, except for the demonically possessed child's bedroom, which was left completely and chillingly untouched by the roaring flames. Both lead actresses suffered severe, permanent spinal injuries during filming. This was due to heavily malfunctioning rigging on set. Furthermore, 9 people directly associated with the production died. They died before the film even premiered. It is exactly like opening a demonic portal for a theatrical stage play, and then completely forgetting to close it when the curtains fall. The atmosphere on set became so suffocatingly dark and oppressive. The director had to bring in a real Catholic priest to perform an actual exorcism and bless the terrified cast and crew. We sit in dark theaters and consume horror as a safe adrenaline rush. We comfort ourselves with the absolute certainty that the credits will eventually roll and the nightmare will end. But these cursed films expose a rotting, deeply unsettling truth about the movie industry. When you actively manufacture darkness, recreate trauma, and obsessively summon the macabre, for millions of dollars, you cannot always control what answers the call. The next time you watch a classic horror movie or explosive action scene, remember the blood permanently stained on the fragile celluloid. The camera is designed to capture the illusion of life, but sometimes it becomes a highly conductive magnet for actual, terrifying death.